Healing after loss is hard, but it can be a beautiful journey. On today's episode of A Widow's Heart, you'll hear from my returning guest, Averil Shadd, a widow, mom, and strength coach. She brings grit, honesty, and faith to everything she does, both inside and out of the gym. You'll be encouraged by this update on her life and continuing widow journey. I'm Pamela Lundell, and this is A Widow's Heart. Well, welcome to another episode of A Widow's Heart. And I am so excited to welcome back to the podcast, Averil Shadd. Averil, welcome. It's so good to see you. I can see you because we're on Zoom.
Thank you so much. It is great to be back with you.
Yes, so much to cover, so much to talk about. And to our listeners, you've got to hear Averil's first episode with A Widow's Heart. I can't believe it, but we just had such an incredible time together and got so many great comments back about what you are doing. And you encourage so many widows who are listening that you can move on. It is not easy, but as you are 2 years into your journey, we last left you. Again, listen to episode 32. You don't want to miss it because you had an incredible lofty goal at the 5th year of Josh's homegoing. And it was your 50th birthday. Can you recap that just a little bit of what they'll hear in episode 32?
Absolutely. Oh, it was something big. I wanted to do something big and not what I would normally have dreamed of. And so climbing Kilimanjaro, going and climbing and hiking a mountain where you have to camp and cook and just get up and keep going was way outside of my comfort zone. But I thought, you know what, this is the kind of way that I can do something that's really hard, step outside my comfort zone, you know, kind of look fear in the face and say, I'm still here. I'm not going to bow to fear. I'm going to do this hard thing and celebrate all the milestones that we had passed, even those last 5 years. And when I had heard about how horrible life can be for widows in other countries, I just really had this passion stirred within me to raise awareness and money to help support widows in other countries. And so the goal is to raise $50,000 and climb those 5,000 meters. And we did it. You know, and I trained for it and got through it. And it was a grind. It was hard work. And so many times I've thought since then, like, I trained for that. I picked that mountain. But when you become a widow, it's like suddenly you're faced with this giant mountain and you didn't really get to train for it. You're just all of a sudden thrown into this space, staring up at something that seems so insurmountable that you can't imagine how you're going to get up there. And how do we deal with that when things come our way that are so out of our control, but are all of a sudden in our face? And what do we do then? How do we find the strength to take that first step and then the next step and the next one after that?
I'm talking with Averil Shadd, and you are the founder of Mountain Mama Fitness, right?
Yes.
And forgive me too, I've got a head cold. I'm dealing with this creeping crud. My dad always called it the creeping crud. So that's why I sound kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, Mountain Mama Fitness. And you've always been into fitness, right? But before you were into fitness and you were a teacher, and that's before Josh passed away. Tell us a little bit about that. And how, as a new widow, did you make the transition to, I'm going to help others while I'm even on this journey, looking up?
Yeah, but that's hard, right? Because when you're in the middle of that hard thing and you're not sure how you're even going to get to bed the next day or that day, when you have kids, you kind of go, they need me. I need to show up for them. And the one thing that my kids asked me a couple years after Josh had passed was they felt they needed me home in the morning and home after school. And the school that I was at had a different schedule. And so I said, okay, I will quit my job. I'm going to trust that this is the right thing to do to support them and be stability for them when they needed it most and help them through that phase.
How old were they?
So when they asked me, they were 15 and 17. So they were 13 and 15 when Josh passed away.
Okay. Yeah. So then you made that transition, but how did you parallel it with being in grief and a new widow and you're setting up a business?
Well, so at that point, I just stopped teaching. I went in and I explained to my principal the situation. And I said, if you could be at all gracious to me and let me out of this contract, I'd be forever grateful. And so would my kids. And they completely agreed and supported that. And so in the meantime, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I imagined going back to teaching. But I'd always thought about being a personal trainer, had always loved fitness. And it just transitioned. I was just being really open and aware of what was going on and how things were moving along. And it seemed like it was the right time because I knew I could work and study and create my own space and have my own hours and that way still support my kids.
Oh, yeah, and it was kind of like a 1-2 punch too, because you had the teaching background, and then you just needed to get some certification in a couple different areas
Yeah.
and then build up your clientele. And
Mhm.
how is that going? I was just going, I gotta ask you, how is your business going? They just love you because the joy just exudes out of this girl like you wouldn't believe.
I think sometimes, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship because a lot of my clients, they come and they know they need to be there and they want to do the work, but that's the last place they want to be is at the
Yeah.
gym. It doesn't
Yeah.
come easy for them, right? But they keep coming. They keep coming back. And it's been going well. I always say to people, there's no perfect place to start. You don't have to have it all figured out. We're not trying to create a new you. We're just going to work forward and build you, help build you up physically, mentally, emotionally. It's the whole person, right? It's not just what happens in the gym, but it's how they show up for themselves and start to build strength and start to build confidence. And I have older clients, younger clients, and we work on balance and all the things in between.
I like how we had talked a little bit before that too, and you said that we don't just train for today, we train for what life will ask of us. And you know that firsthand, and I know that firsthand. I love how you described that we didn't prepare to be widows.
Mhm.
And I learned a new phrase too called suddens. Josh died suddenly. My husband died suddenly.
Mhm.
And, not that you're prepared if you are on a long cancer journey either, but
Mhm.
how do you train for that?
That's a great question. I always say that if you learn how to lift something heavy in the gym that you didn't think you could lift, right? Or you learn how to push through an interval on a rowing machine or a bike that you really didn't believe that you could do. And all of a sudden you see yourself do that, right? It sort of instills in the background of your brain this idea that you can do these hard things, that you can show up. And when you try, you can experience success. And so, what I teach in the gym is how to lift the heavy thing and how to set it down carefully. And then how to lift
Mm.
something else and how to set it down and how to show up and push through those hard moments. Because in the background, what's happening is that your nervous system is learning that you can do hard things, even when you
Mm.
don't think you can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the misconceptions too, especially, I mean, you work with men and women, correct?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And especially for women, what do you see as what's holding a lot of women back? I'm picturing like if I would go into a trainer, it'd be like, okay, make me beautiful, make me this, make me that. But as we go back to just training your inner self, isn't it?
Hmm. Oh, yeah. And I think, honestly, one of the biggest factors is that as women, I mean, statistically, 75% of us don't lift weights, never have. So
Yeah.
it's this brand new outside of our comfort zone idea to lift something. Right. And so we're kind of used to walking or doing that cardio, endless cardio training
Hmm.
to look a certain way. And what we're understanding now, though, is building muscle is what is building resilience for the future. Right. So not
Yeah.
only can you lift lift things that are heavy now and carry along with you, like your own burden of grief, right? You learn to carry it with you. But also in the future now, you are building resilience to be able to still get up from the chair, to be able to swing your feet over the bed, to be able to walk up and down stairs. And so the biggest hurdle is honestly the fact that they've never done it before. And it feels really hard and scary to go in to do something new when you're like 40 or 50 years old.
Your name is Averil Shadd, Avrilshadd. I don't know if I had spelled that out beforehand with Mountain Mama Fitness. And I love the parallel that you do with your journey as a widow and your journey as a fitness expert. So I want to tap into Averil, Coach Averil. Can you speak to our widows wherever they are in their journey? And just, you touched on it just now, but how important it is to take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that feels like the hardest thing to do when you're in the midst of these dark days, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to hold things together. It feels like all the lights have been turned off. You can't even see where the path is going, let alone to take your next step, right? And so it feels like now you want me to do what, Avril? Right? I've never done that
Right.
before. And now you're adding this thing in. But here's the thing, when you sort of show up, and it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't need to be the perfect program. I'm asking you to like lift your own body weight. Maybe you do some push-ups from your knees. Maybe you do some sit and stand from a chair. You do some squats. You go up and down some stairs and you're going to build muscle. Any kind of resistance training. It can be your own body weight, a resistance band, some dumbbells. It does not have to be complicated, but it's this little bit of something that you lift this thing, that you provide resistance to those muscles. and you go, okay, I can do this one little thing. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just something is better than nothing, and something every day or every couple days, like it's over that long term. Being
Mhm.
consistent is what is really the key. And when you start to show up now and show yourself that background, that nervous system, that you can do this hard thing, you can lift this thing, that starts to be like a snowball, right? It
Yeah.
starts to grow. It starts to grab a little momentum, right? And your family sees you doing that and they're like, huh, okay,
Yeah.
she's taking that step. She's being strong, even though she's asking the Lord for strength to do this thing. She's also discovering where that strength is within herself, right? It's a both
Yeah.
and.
And there's a big word for that in the Finnish language, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us
So
about it.
it's called your sisu, right? There, it's
Mhm.
sisu. There isn't really a direct English translation, as you know, but it's this feeling of determination, of overcoming against obstacles that feel so big and so large that there is no way to win. And sometimes, like, that's how I felt in those early days, especially, that I don't know how I can keep going. I don't know that I have the strength to stand, let alone do some
Right.
squats, right?
I can hear an amen in the
Right.
background. Yeah.
But then you realize that, like, you are in this situation, it was out of your control. And so what are the things and the pieces that you can take care of? Right. And
Mhm.
you find this strength, this inner ability to overcome something that is something that you have to really persevere at.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't come in a day, doesn't come in a week, but it's that slow, gritty determination to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Right. So we
Yeah.
talk about that in the gym about finding your CC. Like sometimes the working out is almost harder than the working in. Or maybe it's the other way
Mhm.
around. The working out
Yeah.
is easier than the working in. Because
Yeah.
when you're taking that time to do that, giving your emotions that space that they need to be felt and seen and acknowledged is
Yeah.
sometimes very hard and so important for us to do.
I have a lot of Finnish in my background, and so I'm very familiar with sisu and the sauna. It's 3 syllables. It's
Yes.
sauna,
Yeah.
not sauna. I
Absolutely.
love that. And along
Right?
with that, I think that sisu for many obviously comes from their faith, and that's what you're building up to. And it doesn't happen right away because Avril, for me, it's been too many years. But as I said, I have a widow's heart, a heart for widows.
Hmm.
And now
Yeah.
you're at 7 years. Now, 5 years
Hmm.
ago, you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro to raise all the fives, the
Yeah.
$50,000 for the widows. And you had another milestone recently. I follow
Mhm.
Avril on social media, and I remember it had to do with your hair,
I
right?
had I had read somewhere shortly after Josh passed that our hair grows about 7 years, and that's how long it takes for you to completely have a new full head of hair, and for all the hair that you had to completely have either fallen out or
Uh,
grown out and
Cut
whatever.
off, or
And
yeah.
I was like, "Wow, that is," kind of like, it hit me really hard because I thought those hairs that I have on my head now are ones that he touched. And so I committed to not cutting my hair for 7 years. And maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but to me, it felt very, like, honoring, and it felt a little bit, like, close to him, that I'm just holding
Yeah.
on, maybe a little too hard, maybe not, but I kind of held it loosely. And I feel like our skin and our hair, like, all of this has a touch memory to it, right?
Mhm.
And so holding on to that and being present with that, it was good for me. It didn't feel like it weighed me down. But when it got to the 7 years, I thought, okay, take a deep breath, exhale, and it's time to release this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm talking with Averil Shadd, and you do exude quite a joy and an exuberance for life. And I know that there's someone listening right now who goes, "How can you possibly be there?" I mean, and not that it's a bad thing, but will I ever get there? What encouragement do you have for
Mm.
someone maybe new on the journey as a widow?
What I would say is, don't look too far ahead. Don't think, how am I going to get to that point? Just look at today, right?
Mhm.
You really got to take it one step, one day at a time. And there's so much faith and trust involved that you are going to be okay. Your kids are going to be okay. You might not be able to see it in that moment, but that trust factor, that faith, and also picking up just a little bit of what you can on that day and doing that next thing, right? Set it down
Mhm.
when you need to. Ask for help, right? Sometimes when you lift heavy
Absolutely.
things in the
Yeah.
gym, like, you change your grip or you ask somebody else to help you lift it, or maybe you lift it with somebody. And that's the big thing too for me, was learning how to ask for help, being vulnerable enough to say, I can't do this thing on my own, and I'm going to ask you for help. And you know what? Often people will say to you, let me know if there's anything I can do. And you never know what to say, right? When someone
Mhm.
says that to you as a widow. But when you think of something and you need some groceries or you need to get that your winter tires
Yes.
changed or whatever, reach out because people mean it. They do mean that they want to help, even when they're not sure how to say that. And so when you call them and say, listen, could you pick up a few things for me at the store? I need this, or my kid needs to be picked up. They will jump in and help. They really will.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because they really want to do something. And
Yes.
the other way around too, even though I, my husband died, as I mentioned many years ago, I have a close friend whose husband died in January. And I was a little bit rusty. I was like, oh, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm like, no, don't do that, Pam. I said, Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to come over and take you to Starbucks and we're going to have some coffee.
Mhm.
Yay. Because she's in a fog too, and in a widow's
Yes.
fog and doesn't know exactly
Absolutely.
what she needs. So if you, as a
Mhm.
friend or a relative, come up with something specific, she can say no. She might say no,
Yep.
but on the other hand, most of the time it's yes. If you just go, the work is done. I'm bringing dinner
Yes.
over, or
Yes.
let's just go
Mhm.
see a movie or something like
Mhm.
that. I love
You
that.
know what? And if she says no, will you just keep asking her?
Love.
Because
Yeah.
she will say yes eventually. She will.
Yeah. I love that. In your notes that you sent me, one of the points was, and we were talking about it, is I didn't choose this weight, but I'm learning to carry it. I thought you were talking about the weight on the scale.
Well, sometimes that's true for us too, isn't it?
It translates too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because again, it's the pressure of social media and everything, but it's really to be strong in yourself physically, but strong in your faith. And if you have
Yes.
those two together, you're going
Mm.
to go very far.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the burden of carrying grief, right? Like people say it gets easier. I don't think so. I think you learn how to carry it. You get stronger as you learn how to carry grief. You know what I mean? And you
Uh,
you still can do life while carrying it, but it doesn't quite feel as heavy as it does in the beginning. Yeah. And you
ah,
just learn to figure out how to do life. And some days it still sideswipes you.
yeah.
And it's really important to let the tears come on those days and acknowledge that. That's okay too. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Now, it's been 7 years since Josh passed away. And how do you remember him and your family too? Because it's different when you have the
Mhm.
kids involved too.
Yeah. You know what? I think the thing that I miss maybe the most is his ability to not take life so seriously all the time.
Hmm.
Like he was a palliative care physician and had a very serious job and dealt with families and death and really hard times. But he also had just quick wit and was always quick to laugh and joke and just have some good times together. And sometimes I'm all like, gotta get this work done and I gotta do this and I gotta do this. And I
Yeah.
just remember him as being like kind of relaxed, like serious and determined and work focused, but able to just set that down and be like, no, now we're gonna have some fun together and enjoy each
Yeah.
other's company and be in the moment. Right. And so I remember how he would do that so well. And so I'm just continuing to be like, you know what? I need to be present in this moment right now
Yeah.
and enjoy it and love the people that I'm with. And I think the most important person with you is the one that's right in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. What would you say to the widow who does have the children or the teenagers that you had? Because you've
Mm,
got to navigate that too. They lost their dad. And you kind
yeah.
of wanted to maybe go away by yourself and just deal with this heavy grief for losing your
Hmm.
husband. So
Hmm.
how do you balance that? And how would you encourage them?
Well, I say it's a little bit like my golf game, right? Like I've yet to hit the ball backwards, right?
I got to write
But
that down. I love
but
that.
but you know what? I keep
I'm a
hitting the ball
struggling
forward.
golfer too. Yeah.
Right? And so sometimes I whiff it and sometimes it's a worm burner, but you just keep stumbling forward. You keep advancing the ball. It's not going to look pretty. Sometimes you're going to have the best shot and say the right thing to your kid. And other days, you're going to try to swing and you're going to get a miss. And that's okay. It's not going to be perfect. And some days it's not even going to look pretty. And your kids are going to see that you are doing your best. I said to my kids a couple years after, I said, listen, counseling is on me. You're going to need it. I'm going to pay for it. And I said, I'm sorry for the things that I did so wrong. And one of my kids looked at me and she said, Mom, I don't know how you could have done better because it was the first time you had gone through becoming a widow and you were dealing with your own grief and also had to parent kids through that. And she goes, and I think that you really did the best that you could.
Mm,
Very sensitive,
absolutely.
very gracious. And I said, still counseling's on me.
Oh, so Mountain Mama Fitness, where did that come from? I just love that name.
Well, we had played around with some ideas of getting a personal license plate. And I got to admit, I do love John Denver, like Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Yeah.
And the kids laughed at me a lot. And we have a very small little ski hill here. And I love the mountain. I love to hike it. and bike it and all the things. And they said, well, what if you just did Mountain Mama? And so that was my license plate. And so then the actual name of the gym came from my license plate.
Oh, I love that. That's
Why
so
don't
wonderful.
Mama Fitness? Yeah.
And that gets back to, and you're a coach and you work with fitness and with weights, and I'm learning about that too. I mean, I remember one time I was working with a personal trainer. I do well in groups. We'd had like 4 women and then a trainer who works with us, because that community in itself is so amazing. But I was like, I just want to go do the elliptical. And she goes, oh, you cardio queen. He goes, you got to build muscle. And you do. And I'm watching my mom. I'm blessed to have both my parents still with me, 89, and my dad is 90. But my mom, and I love her to pieces, but she never was really physically active. And it is true, use it or lose it, isn't it? Especially as you age.
Yeah.
I mean,
and for all of us, even when you're working, you won't progress the same way you did when you're younger.
Right.
So you want to maintain, and if you want to grow the muscle, then you got to hit it 2 or 3 times a week, because that sarcopenia is muscle loss. And every decade we lose, just naturally, we just lose because we're not moving as much, we're not lifting as much, we're not as active. And so it becomes really imperative to do something, right? To move some of those weights. Like I say, you keep it simple, lift something heavy and put it down with control. Don't overcomplicate it, but do something, right?
Yeah.
And because later in life, you do it now, you're going to feel it now, you're going to feel good, but also you're doing it for your 80-year-old self, really.
This same friend who is a trainer, she said she's got clients in their 80s. And she said a lot of times they sit in a chair and we stand up and sit down with like a 3-pound weight.
Absolutely.
I mean, and of course, a few years ago, I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, now I get it. I get it. I mean, it gets harder and harder.
It does. Yeah. And even the thing is too, like keeping your muscle also helps to keep your balance and your stability through movement, right? And falling is often about not having enough reaction time or power or the agility to stop yourself from falling, to get that foot out in front of you, right? When you trip on a little piece of pavement or something, or misstep on the sidewalk. So a lot of our strength training with those older seasoned citizens is to work with some of their power and agility as well in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had a vision back when John passed away. I loved, and this is going to sound so funny, I loved curves. Do you remember curves?
I do, absolutely.
And what did they had, like 8 machines or something like that?
In between, you do a little cardio in between. Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing. You know what? I am so glad you brought that up. The fact that you love curve, because this is the other thing that I tell people. They'll say, well, what time is the best time to work out, Averil? Or what's the best exercise? And I say, listen, the 2 most important things are, it got to be a time that you're going to do it. So it doesn't matter if it's morning or the midday or the evening. What works for you, that's great. And the exercise piece is what is something that you enjoy and will want to keep doing. So whether that's playing pickleball with friends, or going for a walk to walk your dogs after dinner, or if it's going to curves, or something that's a group commitment that you find, or even it's your neighbor, you have that accountability piece and it's something you enjoy. So you're going to stick with it, right? So you don't have to get like, oh, I need to do this or have the perfect program or lift the perfect amount of weights or whatever. It's about doing things you enjoy, things with friends, having that. So good. Absolutely.
And I'm thinking in curves too, that community of women got me through the first weeks, days, and months after John's death. I remember just I couldn't wait to go there because I was with my tribe. Yes. I love my family. My family was great and everything, but it was just, we could let our hair down and laugh and cry and hug.
Right. So and I was going to say, like, I have cried so many tears in my garage gym and at the other gym that I also go to sometimes. And that's really part of movement too, right? When you start to move your body and you let those emotions flow through you, tears come when you're strength training too. And we just let them fall. I say, listen, if your tears, that's your eyeballs sweating this time, that's okay. Next time it might be coming off, dripping off your forehead, but it's all welcome here, you know?
That is so good.
Like no pressure, right?
Right. And then, what was I going to ask you about? I love the Japanese have so many incredible traditions and things. And the latest I've been hearing about is getting out, what you do and what you love to do a lot. And I do, and I've got to do it more often. Get out in nature. It's forest bathing. You've heard of forest bathing, right?
Absolutely.
You leave your clothes on, lady. It was okay, but
yes.
Just being in nature in a way.
Being in nature, right?
And
so you know what? Like walking on a treadmill is better than no walking, right? Walking in a city may be better than walking on your treadmill. Can you walk on a suburb? Sure. Could you go and walk on a trail? There you go. Now you're getting this idea too of like, you belong in nature. You are a natural being. You were created in the same way these trees, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of it, right? And when you begin to feel a part of everything around you, it kind of grounds you. It kind of reminds you of these 80 years if we get them, these 90 years if you're your dad.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a
That's
long time, right? And so you kind of realize you can take these deep breaths, you can walk, and you kind of feel like this big sense of this universe and how big and beautiful it is and your place in it. And it doesn't make you feel small. It actually makes you feel a part of something bigger than yourself. And you
yeah.
see how big this God is and how he cares for everything around you. And he cares for you, even in the midst of all that's going on, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Averil Shadd is a physical fitness expert and coach and teacher and encourager, as you can tell already. And I'm not going to let you go until you give us some tips, maybe about our diets, about eating. I don't know what word use the word diet, because I
Yeah.
remember when you're in the fog as a widow
Oh.
early on, sometimes it's too much food that arrives. Other times the days go by, you forget to eat. I mean, how can we care for each other? How can we care for ourselves? And,
Mhm.
and these bodies that God gave us, because we
Absolutely.
will go on and he's with us
Mhm.
as we're in our grief. But just some tips in that area.
Mhm. Absolutely. I completely appreciate that idea of like, I would forget to eat or I wouldn't think of eating. And then when I would go, oh gosh, I got to eat something, I would feel yucky. Like
Yeah.
I would feel almost like an upset stomach because I was trying to force it. And so I would just start to take a few minutes to breathe, just to like let the silence come, a few slow inhales and exhales, calm the whole nervous system down and try a few bites, right? And just chew slowly, right? And then let your digestive system do what it's meant to do. And then I would choose really easy to digest foods, right? Things that are not super fibrous. Like we're not going whole hog here on the kale and broccoli. Like eat some egg soup. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
add a little protein, right? Because your protein is going to just help keep you satiated. It's going to help keep your muscle fed and ready to go for the next thing. And you don't need to overemphasize and just be going protein, protein, protein. It's
Yeah.
not quite as much as some of the influencers will tell you on Instagram. So,
Right. Yeah.
zero point 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight is enough. Okay. If
Yeah.
you can hit like 0.6, zero point 0.7, so have a little bit of tuna, have a little bit of cottage cheese, and don't again like get too hung up on, oh, I didn't hit it today, or I didn't eat enough today, or I ate like it'll even out, right? Make
Yeah.
sure you're hydrated, drink the water,
Drink the water.
because
Yep.
when you're dehydrated, everything, your brain just doesn't feel like it's functioning as well either. Right. So get
So
in your
true.
water, eat what you can, and just really like highly nutritious food, but things that you can stomach. So like even those chicken soup and things that are comfort food that
Yeah.
you can digest. Right. And then I always just say maybe stay away from the extra processed foods,
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. Like sometimes that the chips or the crackers and things like that, they feel easy in the moment, but your system really prefers natural foods that don't have labels, right? So think your potato and sweet potato and
Yeah.
chicken and
Well, and I go back to
and-
the God diet. I mean, eat things the way God created them.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Stay to the outside of the grocery store, right? Like
Yep.
if it doesn't have a nutrition label, great.
But I have to
Because your
say,
fruit and vegetables and things like that are not in the middle of the store where all our packaged foods are.
yeah, and I was in this grocery store yesterday, and I've got this little cold that I'm dealing with, and I had a very sore throat. So I may or may not have eaten a full pint of Haagen-Dazs coffee chocolate chip ice cream recently.
Who's to say? Who's to say? Jury's out.
I love
Well,
that.
and you know what? Here's the thing, right? It's not going to be perfect and nobody wants it to be perfect. Like 80-20, right? It's food was meant to be enjoyed with friends and family. And sometimes if you have that ice cream, it is okay to like go to the store and get that thing that you're craving, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just don't keep it in your house all the time. Because if
Right.
you really want it and you are bold enough and brave enough to leave your house to go and get it, then that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Like have that, your favorite chip or your favorite ice cream. Enjoy it. There's no guilt or shame over that, but you don't bring it home. You don't need to bring it home, right?
Yeah.
And
Everything
then
in
you
moderation,
stay
right?
in moderation,
Yeah.
that 80-20, right? 80%, 20%, right? And then just don't
Yeah.
let the weekend be your weekend. don't be real strong all week and be like, okay, I made it to the weekend. Now I'm going to celebrate and have, right? Just don't
Katie
let it
bar the
take you down,
doors. Yeah.
right? And so consistency is key, not only in the weight, the exercise, but in nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Think about this as
Absolutely.
not a diet for short term, but what can you sustain for the long term? What can you do for the next 20 years?
Yeah. Amen.
Think of that. Yeah.
Avril, what makes you smile lately?
Oh, you know what? I would say, honestly, the whole thing we just talked about getting out in nature, that really makes me smile. And I also decided to just say yes more than say no.
Yeah.
Easy to say no, right? Like I said, keep asking your widow friends because they're going to say yes. And sometimes I would say no out of fear. So what's making me smile is that I'm saying yes to things that I normally wouldn't. And I'm getting out and doing them. And so I'm golfing and I joined an indoor ladies league and that makes me smile, even though golf is hard. And but you know what? It makes me smile. It gets me out of the house on a consistent because I signed up and I said I'm going to be there. Yeah. So just trying to say yes a little bit more than no has brought some interesting experiences and some joy into my life.
No, and
Definitely.
I know some listeners right now too might be wanting to ask this question. So it's not from me, it's from them. Any dates lately?
I've had a few.
What is that like? What is that like?
Oh gosh. Well, that's a whole nother.
Yes, it's a whole nother podcast.
Yes, perhaps. You know what? I feel it's a tricky thing, right? When you're still balancing like helping some of the kids, and then as you said, with your aging parents, and
Oh,
sometimes it
yeah.
feels like there's a lot on your plate. But then I think, well, there's never going to be the perfect time, right?
And
it's
that's
like
not the goal.
exercise,
Let me be clear. That is
right?
not
Well,
the
the thing is
goal.
like where you feel like you've got all your
Yeah.
ducks in a row, and okay, now I can start pursuing this, right? Because like we know it's life. There's always something else coming in, coming out. It's never going to be the perfect time. And so right now, I just have tried it, have gone on a few dates, and just kind of keeping an open heart and an open mind. It's definitely tricky.
Yeah. And especially when you haven't been doing that for a while.
For a long
Yeah.
while.
So
So I just try to keep an open heart mostly. Yeah.
that's
And
wonderful.
just see what comes and trust the timing of it. Trust that the timing will be right. You know, that's hard to do for all of us. Yeah.
And if that's something that is on your heart, like I said, the goal is not that you have to have somebody. No, and that's not it. But I heard years ago with single friends was pray for that person that God may have for you before you even meet them.
Yep.
I love that. I think that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any last thoughts here, Avril?
Yeah, I would say just stay consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect every day. A little bit is better than nothing at all.
Yeah.
And let that momentum just slowly start to build and grow. And you will see it and you'll feel the change. And when you look back in that rearview mirror, right, you'll see how far you've come and be really thankful that you've made those small steps and just to keep going, even when it feels like you can't. Just keep going. Stay with it.
I love that. I love that. I'm just going to end it right there. It's been so much fun to talk to you again. And I just had a flashback to when you were talking about your mountain climb and how you were sick during that. Mm-hmm. And I just remember you crying and how God was so close to you. And it's just really amazing to see how you are managing this journey and being so strong. It's so good. And then also can people contact you then again or?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my website is fully functioning and I do some online programming for people and have had some clients in the States and yeah, it's gone really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that Mountain Mama Fitness?
.ca, just mountainmama.ca. Mm-hmm. So it's mtnmama.ca. Yeah.
Even in seasons of uncertainty, God is still guiding your every step, often in unexpected ways. You're not alone, you're not forgotten, and God is holding you in every moment. Thank you for listening to A Widow's Heart. Take care, and we'll see you next time.